What is up, awesome? This is Awesome here. Welcome back to another episode of the In Between. As we got a glimpse of our main characters and Leon. I forgot our main character. I think it was Micah, if I remember correctly. I hope I remember. But anyways, we kind of got a hint of like what his normal life is, which is a nice way of doing character introductions. Now, after the thunderstorm, something happened. Something mysterious happened. What? I don't know. It was all because he left his phone in his dorm room, or, well, I guess not a door. I guess his apartment, honestly. But anyways, you get the point. So, in this episode, I guess we're going to get some of the stuff that I was thinking that this game is. I'm still assuming this is like an isekai, but we'll find out in this episode. So without further ado, let's just go and jump straight into it. As let's not try to waste too much time today, as we are going to call back the mystery number, because I feel like that's the most interesting option. And we'll see where it goes from there. I still don't know how long this demo is, by the way, but Micah okay, it was Micah, thank goodness. Micah stared at the missed call. Something about that something about that number drew him in, captivated him. He knew that he had to speak to the person now. Why? He didn't know. He just had to. It was important. And we can't forget, Leon also had something important to talk about, but he kind of just avoided that subject altogether. So he definitely knows something that we shouldn't yet. But anyways, he thought on that feeling for a moment, but in the end, he decided to trust that gut feeling. Just as Micah went to hit the call button, his phone started to buzz. He jumped in surprise, nearly dropping his phone. Barely catching it, he caught the side of the caller ID. It was the same number, and this time he was available to answer it. He rushed to his desk where he kept his notebook, just in case. Ooh, we could hang up. No, we're gonna answer it.
Hello?
Ooh, okay. I like this though. There's a lot of options in this game, and it's like a lot of different ways. We could change our minds. That's the curious part. Anyways.
Good evening. Mr. Malcolm Riley, I presume.
Malcolm? The right family name, but who is Malcolm?
May I ask who's calling?
Forgive me. Where are my manners? Arthur Harris, administrator to the estate of the late Gregory Riley. I'm calling about the last will and testament in regards to the unresolved inheritance to one M. Riley.
Gregory Riley. Gregory. No, okay. I can't do that voice, but yeah, I'd heard that name before, but where? Micah had yet to respond, but the man continued talking.
You're a hard man to find, Oh, sorry. I seem to recall you're preferring to be known by your middle name, Edwin. Is that still accurate?
I thought you said you're a hot man to find. I was like, you came to the right place. It is a BO game after all. Yeah, that's a common occurrence, but
forgive me. It has been many years since I last saw you or your father.
You or your father. Those words pounded in his head like a drum. Who was this person? He said Edwin. Edwin Riley was the name of his father. He was sure of that. He swallowed hard. His whole body felt heavy, like it was suddenly constructed of lead. All of his attention was directed to that voice he could hear through his phone. You or your father?
Edwin, are you there?
I'm not Edwin. Edwin's my father, but...
He's been gone for years. Wait. For some reason, he decided against telling him that. Maybe I can find out more from this man if he would pretend he's still here, but just not available. He swallowed again. It was almost painful how anxious he was.
He's not available at the moment. May I help you with something?
Edwin's son? My. You must be a little Myka then. Has it really been that long?
Myka? Or Mykalia? It was technically his full name, but no one called him that ever. Not even his aunt, who was a stickler for proper language and names. In fact, he didn't have any recollection of anyone calling him by that name, so how did this man know it?
You know my father, then?
I do indeed. I haven't heard from him since your grandfather passed, however. I've been trying to get in contact with him about the estate for quite some time. And of course, I finally find a lead, and it ends up being his son.
Then, could you tell me more about the estate?
I shouldn't really.
Micah struggled not to curse out frustration.
But since it's taken me so long to find your father, and you are technically an M. Riley, I see no harm.
Thank you, sir.
Such a polite young man. Gregory would be proud indeed.
So Arthur has to be like the butler of the estate, I'm assuming. Thank goodness we're not playing Hidaka Shizuchi, because that means Arthur's been through a lot of shit, and unfortunately, literally and physically speaking, a lot of shit. Based off the... And yeah, I told you guys the story about Hidaka Shizuchi. You know, I did an episode. I'm not sure if I ever even put that episode out. I know I definitely did not put it out on YouTube. I might have done it on Patreon, but even then, I don't remember putting it on Patreon. I think it's considered a lost episode, honestly. I was originally going to do a Let's Play. You know, I played the first episode. Like, yeah, it was interesting. Like, interesting concept. In case you guys don't know, the whole concept behind it is that, like, the character gets invited to the mansion. He gets to live there for a month, and I think he won it based off a lottery or something like that. I can't remember, but he gets to live at this mansion, this beautiful mansion, for a month, and he can literally do whatever he wants, and I mean whatever he wants. And yeah, I was like, that's an interesting concept. And then, you know, after I made the first episode, I was like, you know, I'm gonna do a little bit more digging in this game just to make sure, you know, because at that point, like, YouTube was kind of on my ass already, and when I looked up the CGs, you know, kind of just making sure about things, there was a lot of things I did not want to see. And at that point, after seeing that, I was like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't make this series. And I decided against it. And not to mention, there's some things in there that made me, like, hurl. But again, anyways, just pointing it out there in case you guys are interested in that. Luckily, Arthur's not in that, like I said, but... Yeah, same, Micah, same.
I have the afternoon free. What say we meet for a late lunch and go over the details I have to share with you? I would very much like to see how much my dear friend's grandson has grown after all these years.
That sounds fine. We could meet at the Merriment Cafe if you've heard of it.
Oh, I just noticed here. Oh. I got the wrong thing. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I had the wrong mouse thing, and I was like, wait, why is it moving on its own? It's like, there's no ghost possessing my computer. Okay, anyways, though.
Very well. Merriment it is. 2 p.m. tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
With that, the call was over. Micah's heart raced. He had finally met someone who knew his father and his grandfather, too. Micah looked at the call log on his phone to make sure he wasn't imagining this. Oh, shit, Leon! Help! If you understand that reference, then good for you. But he didn't know if he had the mental fortitude to take on socializing right now. He had so much to think about. His father and grandfather. I should text him. Oh, okay, I guess we'll text him. We don't need to, but if the game assists us to, then I'll just follow along. Hey, man. Sorry about this evening. I left my phone at home. And ET phone. I'm sorry. And something came up. Sorry. I should have messaged you before. Okay, you didn't leave us on red at least. Positive. Oh, it's okay. Is everything all right? Yeah, it's all good. Just family stuff. Nothing special. And he's downplaying it, but yeah, sure, I guess. Oh, well, I guess I'll get you back to it then. Yeah, thanks, man. I'll catch up with you later. Okay? Oof. Okay, then he left us there. He's not... Oh, poor Leon. It was special, of course. Nothing about it wasn't special. He just didn't want to say anything before he knew for sure what it was about. The typing appeared and disappeared and appeared and disappeared. Leon seemed to have something to say, but in the end, he never said it. Sleep did not come easy that night, and when it did, it was the same dream. The hazy figure smiling at him as he played in a puddle. It was Bruno, wasn't it? Anytime, yeah, it's like, okay, a hazy figure. How can you not get that image of Bruno just like mischievously smiling? You know, planning on something which, you know, well, no, if you haven't seen the movie, I'm not going to spoil it, but I mean, anyways. Who are you? Why can't I remember you? The room was still dark, the night air heavy as Micah awoke. No longer able to tolerate the shallow sleep of the night, he laid awake staring at the ceiling. Agonizingly slowly, the day broke and the room started to lighten, chasing away the last wisp of the haze-filled dream. And as the sun rose, so did Micah's anxiety. The phone call from yesterday was finally sinking in. He might find something out about his family today. Finally. It had been 17 years since he came to live with his aunt. 17 long years of not knowing. 17 years since waking up in the hospital bed with no memory of how he got there, what he'd been doing, how he ended up there, and who he was with. Every time he tried to ask about his parents, his aunt would shut down the conversation or change the subject in some way. But today, she couldn't stop him asking. Pacing around the apartment was all he was capable at that moment. It was all he could manage. I'd be excited too. I mean, does anyone else get that feeling? Like, I know, like, even for Christmas, like, man, like Christmas Eve, like that night of Christmas Eve, like I just get, even the day before Christmas Eve, I just get like, oh, like I can't do anything else. Like I just keep thinking about like the next day. Same like before trips, like my Disney trip I took this year, or the Orlando trip I should say. Like the same days, like the night before, it was rough. Like I couldn't sleep. I was too excited. I literally pulled a full old nighter, unfortunately. And on the day, so seriously, like the night before, I couldn't sleep at all. We ride at Disney, and we did Epcot literally the whole day, and somehow I made it through. But literally about like 8 p.m., I was like so tired. I was like about to pass out like at the park. I'm not kidding. Never making that mistake again. I'll try not to, but I learned my lesson. On that, because I did work that day. I should have took the day off just because I need to like get my mental fortitude together and everything. But anyways, 11 a.m. Enough was enough. There was only so much pacing one man can do. With his mind still full of thoughts of the lawyer, Micah decided that he should just head to the merriment early. Anything was better than pacing back and forth any longer. He'd make up some excuse about wanting to watch Thomas in the kitchen or practice a new latte art. Anything would do. As he walked through the doors of the cafe, Micah desperately tried to calm his quickening heartbeat. If he spent some time messing around about here for a while, it would surely start going quickly, right? Micah recalls something about Thomas trying out a new menu item today, too. A worthy distraction. Eventually, thoughts of the meeting began to melt away as he watched Thomas cooking in the kitchen. Before long, he found himself sketching the meal at different stages of preparation. What he first thought would be a useless skill, his food drawings had become somewhat useful and were used on Mary's menu. He checked his phone nervously. 1:25. Oh, time went slowly at first. Spending time in the cafe drawing and chatting to Thomas actually made time go so much quicker than expected. He took a deep breath. He felt much calmer, thankful for the distraction this had become.
Why don't you go get a table in the dining room?
In the dining room?
Someone's gotta make sure these are actually edible.
I don't think anything you could make would be inedible, but I'm not one to turn down the famous Thomas's cooking.
Oh, so we got another Hito on our hands. No, okay, but with the stall, Micah took a seat at one of the empty tables, and Thomas brought out his newest experiments. They looked and smelled delicious. We're going to get a Food Wars moment. Before him, Thomas placed 2 dishes. Ooh, that looks good. Beautiful presentation. One wasn't really as much as a dish, but the most indulgent looking milkshake Micah's ever seen. Topped with whipped cream and chocolate powder, complete with a long spoon and a spiral straw. The second looked like a pie. The outer pastry was woven into a lattice, I don't know, filled with berries and syrup. It smelled divine. Hidden beneath layers of pastry was a secret that made this much more than a pie. Micah stood transfixed as Thomas was creating the masterpiece. The dessert had a layer of cheesecake inside the pie crust, and under the berries, he just couldn't wait to try it. Before he could dig in, Thomas brought out a 3rd dish. 3?
There's more? Where did this one come from?
A special treat.
Zip? No. Okay, come on. I played too many BO games, and there's been some scenarios where this has actually happened. I'm just pointing it out there, okay? Like, you can't blame me for thinking that way. But, you know, he had the banana split dessert ready for him, if you know what I mean. But a mischievous look spread across... Okay, maybe... Okay. I was just joking, game. You don't have to do it. He gently placed the dish in front of Micah. A smile plastered his face.
Now you may eat. Dig in.
Is that pizza?
Oh, is it even possible I can eat all this?
You'd better. You hurt my feelings otherwise.
Micah examined the new meal with interest, trying to work out what secrets this one held.
Oh, pizza?
Try it and find out.
Micah happily brought it to his lips and tasted it, and of course he wasn't surprised. It was perfect, just as Thomas's cooking always was. This dish was particularly unusual, though. It looked like a pizza, but once he started to eat it, he realized it was actually a delicate noodle just adorned with cheese and pepperoni. It only looked like pizza. Incredible. He couldn't help but feel a little envious. How amazing it would be to be in Thomas's position, coming up with all kinds of new recipes. Still, he was thankful for the meal, if not a little curious as what he did to deserve it. As if feeling the question mark pop up above Micah's head as he stared at the spread in front of him, Thomas laughed.
I know you don't really celebrate it, but I wouldn't be a very good chef if I didn't whip you up something special for your birthday.
Aww.
But more than anything, You looked a little down and anxious. You come here on your days off when you aren't feeling so good.
You know that's bad. I'm just bored. At least in my perspective, I'm not judging if that's like something y'all do, but like if it was my day off, I would definitely never go back to work. Like even if I'm feeling down and such, I feel like there's other hobbies I have in life where I could like, you know, get rid of that anxiety and such. Whereas like, man, I can't imagine. Like I would hope work would be that much fun and amazing if you want to come back. He would hope. But if it's just kind of like your day, you know, the everyday job that's just, you're just doing it to get by. Like I can't imagine like having that much anxiety stuff, just wanting to come back on your day off just to relax there. Like to me, that sounds scary to me. But you know, each to their own. That's just my opinion. That's just one man's opinion, which doesn't really matter in the first place. But anyways, he really hadn't thought about it. At that moment, he realized Thomas was right. It's how he got the job in the first place.
What's on your mind, kid?
I have a meeting here soon. I think I'm about to find out who my father was.
Well, that is indeed cause for a delicious meal. It is delicious, isn't it?
Micah scoffed in a response, a smile playing on his lips. He had nothing to worry about. Thomas was one of the best chefs Micah has ever met. He trained in some upscale restaurant overseas until he married Mary. Oh, and they settled into a little cafe diner. Never mind everything I just said, throw that out the window. They both loved it here, and Micah always thought what a lovely couple they made. They treated him like family. He would always be grateful for their support and kindness, even if he felt like he could never pay it back in full. Thomas still cooks incredibly fancy things sometimes, but he enjoys comfort foods above all else.
Of course it's delicious. You don't even have to ask.
The food did make him feel better too. Something about his stomach full of his cooking set his mind at ease. It was amazing how good of a meal it could serve as a distraction. He looked down at his phone. Ho 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 ho!
2 p.m. Finally.
We survived the night. No, it's 6 a.m. Woo! Okay, but once again, his nerves rose, despite his best effort to keep himself calm. The bell to door jingled, and in walked a tall, dark-skinned older man with a white hair and pressed a business suit. He looked the part lawyer, that was for sure. Micah gazed at him expectantly, standing to greet him. Although the man looked as if he matched the voice, he wondered if his assumption was correct.
Mr. Harris?
Ah, you must be the young Mr. Riley.
Yes, sir. That's me.
He fumbled over his words a little, his nerves getting the best of him.
My, how you've grown. You were just a wee tyke when I last saw you.
Tyke?
I bet you don't remember me, do you? I don't blame you. You were very shy, hiding behind your grandfather's legs the whole time.
He chuckled, one of those nostalgic and heartwarming chuckles, like he was reliving a treasured memory. Micah swallowed hard.
Shall we sit?
Here goes nothing.
Can I ask what he was like? I've lived with my Aunt Caroline since I was young, and I don't have many memories of my grandfather.
Or my father. He seemed to be deep in thought. Micah held his breath, wondering if he had blown any chance of finding out anything. After a while, Arthur just sighed.
That sounds like Caroline, that's for sure. She never did get along with her family. It stands to reason that she wouldn't speak of them much. How was it that you came to live with her?
Honestly, I don't really remember it very well. As a child, I got into a bad accident of some kind. When I woke up in the hospital a few weeks later, Aunt Caroline was there. She told me I would be living with her from then on.
I remember that. I've never seen Gregory more concerned about anything in my life.
Arthur folded his hands and rested his chin, eyes closed deep in thought.
Caroline.
What was he like? My grandfather, if you don't mind me asking, that is.
He was a good man, strong-willed and fierce, kind and compassionate. More than anything, he loved his family. They were the most important thing in the world to him.
He sounds nice.
I just wish I remembered him.
But he was an adventurous one. Caroline never really approved of her father and brother.
Hence why she doesn't talk about him.
Yeah, I kind of got that impression too. But you said you had something for my father?
Yes. How could I forget?
Micah steeled himself. He wanted to know what it was, but was also afraid to know. Arthur unlatched his briefcase and from it pulled a bound document followed by a wax-sealed letter.
I have had these in my possession for 5 years. I have been seeking out Edwin to pass them on to him, but as his son, I am confident that Gregory would approve.
Much approved. Go on. He slid the documents towards Micah, who couldn't help but stare. With a shaky hand, Micah pulled them towards himself. An immaculate scripted title, old but well cared for. Oh, property deed. It looked like a property deed. His eyes scanned the deed before moving to the letter. addressed to one M. Riley. He took a deep breath and opened it, barely managed to stop his shaking hands. My dearest Micah. His heart jolted. Micah, it was addressed to him. His eyes went wide and he looked back up towards the lawyer. Where he was standing a moment ago was now empty space. He was gone. Where? Where could he have disappeared to that quickly? Panic flared up in Micah's eyes as he darted from the back of the letter to the empty spot in front of him. He shot to his feet and dashing around the room. Why did I say it so weirdly? He was nowhere to be seen. How can someone just vanish? Thomas just gave him a quizzical lift from the doorway to the kitchen, crossing his arms over his chest.
Hey, that man I was with, did you happen to see where he went? He left while I was reading.
The tension in Micah's body is making him lightheaded.
See who?
Mr. Harris. He was just here.
Sorry, Mai. I didn't see anyone. It looked like you were alone this whole time. I thought you must have been in a phone call.
The blood in Micah's body seemed to become ice cold and freeze. Alone. Alone? How? How could I have possibly been alone? He looked back at the table. The documents nearly laid out where he left them. They didn't vanish. They weren't part of his imagination. These were real. How could the man could just gave them to him and not be? There must be some kind of mistake.
You feeling all right? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Well, ghost. That was the last thing Micah heard as all his senses went black. Oh, jump scare? Everything hurt. His back and shoulders, his head and eyes. Every inch of him felt as if he'd take a beating. Micah tried to sit up, surrounded by a vast darkness, but the effort made his head spin. He collapsed back down to what could only have been the ground, but even that he wasn't sure of. Soft. Where was he? What happened? He tried to think, but his mind felt dull, like trying to listen to someone speak while underwater. Everything felt so far away, eternally distant. Every time he tried to move or sit up, electric tendrils spiked through his head, making him wince in pain. He gave up, accepting his fate. He would just sleep wherever he was. The faint sound of panic that reached him faded farther and farther away as he lost consciousness once again. Darkness. It was so dark. Micah felt scared. Scared and alone. Why? He took a deep breath. The air smelled sweet like honey. He couldn't tell if his eyes were open or not. In a place like this, he couldn't tell anything. The panic rose. The spikes of pain through his head were getting worse. Then, the tiny jingle of a bell and something soft touched his face. Oh, this is Konoha's. Oh, okay. Well, I'm not gonna spoil Memento, but if you heard that sound, you know what I'm talking about. I forgot his nickname. It wasn't the messenger. It was the musician. I forgot what the freaking name was. It's been so long since Memento. It's been like 5 years maybe, or 6 years. But anyways, he froze in fear. Well, I guess we'll find out the next episode, guys. But let me know what you think of this second part. What do you think the mystery is? What do you think this whole state is? Is it another world? Is it another dimension? Let me know in the comment box down below. How do you think this is going to end? And let me know what you think of the demo. But this is called the In-Between. We are going to play again. Don't worry, we're going to try Leon's route too, because it seems like there's different ways to play this, which is nice. Again, the fact that they give us the option to hang up is something. I'm not sure if it would have done much, but the fact that it's an option is really interesting to me, as there's more options to the game than meets the eye. And that makes me excited for this game. But again, it's called the In-Between. You can check it out in the description box down below. You can check out the demo, available to download for free. And that is it for this, and I did hope you enjoy. If you did, leave a like and share the video if you did enjoy. And of course, if you haven't, follow me on Twitter so you can be up to date on when videos are being updated, or I say updated, when videos are being uploaded, and just to see my schedule, as I posted the new schedule today, so you guys know what's coming up for this week, as we are going to stream again this week on both YouTube and Twitch, so look forward to that. And other than that, I guess I'll see y'all later, and we're going to be playing another demo, as we're going to play more of the Hit the Road. And there's more demos coming out this week, if I remember reading correctly, and also some full Let's Plays coming out at the end of the month, so I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And other than that, I'll see y'all later, and that's all I'll say, but other than, I love you, and please do not ever forget to stay awesome. Bye!